There is a certain kind of friend Scorpio never completely forgets. And surprisingly, it is not always the friend they had the deepest conversations with. It is not always the person who knew every secret or the friend who expressed their love openly. Sometimes it is simply the person who was there during a version of Scorpio's life that no longer exists. The friend who knew them before the walls became higher, before life became more complicated, before everyone went their separate ways. Because Scorpio is often described as the sign of transformation, the sign of death and rebirth, that sheds old versions of itself and emerges changed. But there's something people rarely talk about. Every transformation leaves witnesses behind, and some of those people become almost impossible to forget. I think about this sometimes because of a friend I had in high school. We were part of the same group, and our friendship was built largely on banter. We teased each other constantly. Whatever one person dished out, the other person gave right back. And if I am being completely honest, there were times when I did not always know how she truly felt about me. Sometimes the teasing went too far. Sometimes feelings got hurt. We were young and we were not exactly sitting around having deep conversations about how much we appreciated one another. But then there were these small moments when it would suddenly dawn on me, oh, she does care about me. I remember she would sometimes wait with me at the bus stop, even though she could have already gone inside her house. She did not have to stay. There was no dramatic speech, no big declaration of friendship. She just stayed. And looking back, I think some of the friendships Scorpio remembers most are exactly like this. The care was not always announced. You had to notice it, you had to recognize it in the small things. Once, during PE class, we were playing badminton. She was trying to quickly position herself for the incoming birdie, bending over and stepping backward at the same time, and somehow backed directly into my crotch. Like, really backed into it. I had absolutely no time to move, no time to dodge, to save either of us from what had just happened. I felt it. I knew she felt it. There is no universe in which she did not feel it. But we both acted like that never happened. This is kind of what real friendship often looks like in memory. It is not one perfect montage of meaningful conversations. It is chaos, inside jokes, embarrassing moments, random accidents, and then there were the moments when no words were needed. When I experienced my first breakup, I must have looked obviously different. I remember being around her and feeling her concerned gaze from my peripheral vision. She could tell something was off. And again, I do not remember some long emotional speech. I just remember knowing that she noticed. That stayed with me. Because I think Scorpio often remembers the people who noticed, the people who could sense a change before an explanation was given, and the people who paid attention when Scorpio was trying to act normal. But the strange thing about some of the most important friendships in life is that you do not always understand what they meant to you while you are still living inside them. Senior year of high school, I had to give a mandatory presentation, and something went wrong. I had brought my presentation with me on either a CD or a USB, but for whatever reason, the teacher's computer would not open it properly. The presentation would not load. I could not access the file. And if you have ever had something like that happen right before you're supposed to present in front of a class, you know that feeling. That moment where you are standing there thinking, what am I supposed to do now? I could not just pull the presentation up from my phone or open some cloud storage app the way we probably would today. But what I remember next is my friend immediately trying to help. She called another classmate from our group who was in a different class at the time, and somehow she came over. I think we may have used another available computer to open or access my presentation, then resaved it, transferred it into a compatible form onto her USB, and then we plugged that USB into the teacher's computer. The presentation happened, and I did get through it. The details are blurry now, but what I remember is that when I had a problem, people moved. One friend made the call, another left what she was doing and came over. Someone handed me what I needed, and the problem got solved. At the time, I probably did not think much of it. We were teenagers. You assume the people around you will always be around you. You do not realize that one day, even the most ordinary moments will become evidence of a life that no longer exists. And then high school ended. We were accepted into different colleges, and everyone started going their separate ways. That is when it hit me like a ton of bricks, because for years, all we had done was laugh. We had banter, we teased each other, we saw each other at school every day. There was no reason to sit down and say, "You mean a lot to me." You believe there will always be a tomorrow that looks exactly like today, until there is not. I remember missing some of them so much that I would prank call them using one of those machine voice spam things. That was apparently my way of saying I missed people. And when I started seeing them on social media, making new friends, forming new groups, creating new lives, I tried to do the same. I tried to mirror it. They had new people, so I would find new people too. But underneath that, I deeply missed what we had, and slowly the group fell apart. Not necessarily because of a betrayal or one big argument. Life simply carried everyone in different directions. Pride and vulnerability did successfully get in the way as well. And I think this is where Scorpio's relationship with friendship becomes more complicated than people realize, because Scorpio is known for cutting people off, for closing doors, for moving on, for transforming. But moving on does not mean forgetting. Sometimes Scorpio can build an entirely new life and still carry the emotional memory of people who knew them in another one, and moments that cannot be recreated with anyone else. Some people know us before we learn to perform adulthood, before careers, the carefully managed identities, before everyone becomes busy, before friendship has to be scheduled weeks in advance. There are people who knew us when we were simply ourselves because we had not yet learned to be anyone else.